there, rub-a-dub subs, it's Blackmetalwerewolf making a brand new video for you this week. And today I will be doing a quick review of the officially licensed Mercyful Fate era King Diamond figure made by Knuckle Bonz as part of their Rock Iconz Collector Series. I originally saw this figure advertised on King Diamond's Facebook page, and I couldn't help but put a pre-order down on it. As soon as I saw it, I thought it looked so badass, and I thought it would make a really cool addition to my desk. Now that it's finally been delivered, I can finally give my thoughts and feelings on it. Let's start with the quality of the box. Right from the get-go, we can see a picture of the figure itself. The picture is pretty good quality and has some pretty cool smoke effects around King Diamond. If anyone has ever seen Mercyful Fate / King Diamond live in concert, they would know how much fog and smoke is used in the show, so I thought it was an interesting thing to add to that photo. Looking past the photo of the figure, you can see that the background is an enlarged photo of the Don't Break the Oath album cover that stretches to both sides of the box. Upon turning the box to either side, you can see the demon's horns on one side and his pointing hand on the other. I think it would have been cooler if the album cover was a bit more visible on the front of the box, because the photo of the figure totally covers the face of the demon. I get that they're selling this figure, not the album, but it's such a cool album cover that it really is a shame that it isn't shown off more. Also on the front of the box, you can clearly see King Diamond's name spelt out in blood red letters, as well as the Mercyful Fate logo, which can also be found on both sides of the box and at the very top. Right above the picture of the figure reads, Rock Iconz Collector Series, which I find oddly out of place. The boring white block letters just don't seem to fit in with the dark gothic look that they were clearly going for. I find it kind of strange that a much cooler logo for the Rock Iconz name can be found on both sides of the box and on the very back. I think that logo would have looked much better on the cover opposed to this. They also could have used some sort of a cool font for the wording for Collector Series to make it fit a bit better. The back of the box is really where it gets interesting. The background appears to be a blackened satanic temple with the fires of hell burning through the inverted cross windows. Along the right side of the back are two smaller pictures of the figure from different angles, with even more smoke added for effect. The real highlight of the back is that there is a brief history of the band written on it. For longtime fans, this is information that they probably already know, and for newcomers, this is information they should know. Regardless of how long you've been listening to Mercyful Fate for, this is a good read. I particularly enjoy the closing sentences. The band has since been on hiatus. Someday, Mercyful Fate might come for you again, says King Diamond. A sentiment I'm sure all Mercyful Fate fans are hoping comes true. So my first impression just from the box is relatively positive, because I'm not usually the type of guy that holds on to boxes from anything, but I can honestly see this hanging around my desk for quite some time. But that's enough talking about fancy-ass boxes. Does the figure that comes inside of it live up to what they are advertising on it? Let's open it up and find out. At first glance, it looks like a quality figure. It passes a decent resemblance to Mercyful Fate era King Diamond, from his coned back hair to his intimidating face paint, all the way down to his black leather clothing and vibrant red-lined cape. Having him holding his signature Crossbones microphone holder was also a very nice touch. I have to say that the base that the figure sits upon is one of my favorite aspects of this figure. The Don't Break the Oath album art is replicated perfectly here in hellish red that creates a menacing contrast from the rest of the pitch black base. I also thought it was really cool that at each corner of the base they put a human skull, each one noticeably different than the others. Also, along the rim of the base is decorated with demonic horns. It's little things like that that they didn't have to add, but they did add, and it really brings the whole Mercyful Fate King Diamond thing together. Also, if you were to look underneath the base, you'd be able to find all the logos of the brands associated with this figure, as well as the production number of your specific figure. As you can see, mine was 209th out of 1,984 produced. So my first impressions of the figure as soon as I took it out of the box were relatively positive. It seemed to be a relatively well-made and solid figure. However, the more I looked at it, something seemed a bit off about it, and upon much closer inspection, I couldn't help but notice what I would consider to be glaring flaws. Let's start with some of the details that are noticeably different or just flat out missing when compared to the picture on the front of the box. The bottom half of the zipper going down the middle and the zipper for the right pocket have absolutely no detail to them at all. They're just sloppily painted, kind of straight lines. Hell, the right pocket zipper isn't even painted all the way. I find this quite confusing, seeing as how the zippers for the left pockets and the top half of the middle zipper are actually well painted and detailed. Did the person painting this just say fuck it and quit halfway through? There are several examples of this throughout the entire figure. The bracelet on his right wrist shows the same lack of effort. The fingers have little to no detail. The chains of his necklace seem kind of half-assed, and the microphone and crossbones holder don't hold any of the detail that are shown in the picture. I should say that I think the inverted cross earrings and pendant actually look pretty good, but while I was checking out the pendant, I noticed something that seemed kind of off. There's this weird lumpy line going across his chest. I looked at the box for reference, and that's when I realized that this part of the figure was completely missed when being painted. That lumpy line that I described was supposed to be the edge of the black vest, or possibly the collar of a black shirt underneath the vest. Regardless of what it was supposed to be, I can tell you what it wasn't. It wasn't painted. Moving past those fine details, I went to the face, and I noticed that it was slightly off from the cover photo. The nose is thinner and pointier, the makeup on his chin isn't as fine pointed, and his mustache doesn't really stand out from the black makeup on his upper lip. In all honesty, I could forgive a lot of these things, but there is one gigantic issue in the face that I find unforgivable. Look at the picture on the cover of the box. Do you see what's painted on his forehead? That's right, an inverted cross. Now, let's look up a picture of King Diamond from that era on Google. See what's painted on his forehead? That's right, an inverted cross. Okay, now let's look at what is painted on the forehead of the figure I got. That looks an awful lot like a regular cross to me, if you can even call it that. I know that might seem like such a little thing to focus on, but to me that is such a small detail, and by screwing it up it really makes a big difference in this figure. Now, I'm not trying to say that this figure is completely awful and that it lacks all detail whatsoever. I'm just saying that it seems uneven. In some aspects of it, it has a lot of detail and it looks really good, but in other places it really seems to miss the mark. So, not 100% terrible, just uneven. To some people, these may sound like insignificant nitpicks, but I would just like to remind those naysayers that this figure was not cheap. It was actually quite expensive. And when someone shells out that kind of top dollar for a figure, you kind of expect it to look a bit more like the figure advertised on the damn box that it came in. So, in conclusion, though my complaints may have been many, I can't see myself throwing this figure away or pawning it off for booze money. I do think at a distance it looks pretty snazzy next to some of my other metal and horror related figures that are already on my desk. And I'm sure in time I will either get over or completely forget about the flaws that I'd pointed out, and I will be able to appreciate this figure for what it is. Except for that damn cross painted on his forehead. That is going to take some time for me to get over. So that's it for today's video. If you like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe, leave me a comment letting me know what you thought of today's video, check out some of my past videos, and share it with a few of your friends while you're at it. If you want to keep up with me on a more daily basis, you can follow me on Facebook and on Instagram. I also have a P.O. box open. All of that info is down in the description. I also have a handful of patches left for sale, so if you'd like to get your very own, you can click right over in the corner here. There's also a link down in the description. Overall, thank you very much for watching, guys, and don't forget to stay brutal.